Hello friends and welcome. So today's practice is still in line with what we've been doing the past few weeks. We're in the hot heat of summer. We've got that pitta season happening, and so rather than aggravating that or making the heat excess within our bodies, minds, right, emotions, we've been moving towards that cooler side, that cooling side. And so we're going to continue that. And today is going to be a lot of floor work. And that is partially for me. As I announced, I sent out that email. I'm going to take a couple weeks off. I'm just on the verge of burnout, and I'm feeling just kind of tired, and so I want to be on the ground. I still want to move my body. I want to move coolly. I don't want to push. And I want to just be able to put a lot of my weight, my gravity right down on the floor so I don't have to work at lifting and moving as much. So that's where we're headed. You'll notice that I have a blanket down. We're going to do some of that slipping and sliding work that we do, and so having a non-sticky surface is beneficial for this whole first portion of the class. So if you want to take a second and hit pause, spread a blanket over your mat, or if you don't have a mat and you don't have a sticky surface, good on you, right? And then you'll hit play again when you're ready. We're going to meet on our ground. You might want to strap. I'm not going to necessarily teach to it, but there are some poses where it just might feel better to have that strap available. So go ahead and just lower yourself down onto your back. I'm going to take my glasses off right off the bat. I'll be fine here in the first few moves, but eventually the glasses will end up kind of being in the way, I'll say. So if you don't need those glasses, and you can just be more stop yawning, more intuitive with your movement, right? And just listening to cues, and then also, doing what feels good in your body. We're going to start in a resting pose. That can be Shavasana or constructed rest pose. So I'm going to take constructive rest pose with my feet wide and my knees leaning in. And with your eyes closed, take these first few moments, as always, right, to tune into your body. And I think most of y'all know that I don't believe in advanced practice is doing really exotic poses, right? And looking really fancy. I think advancement comes in the more subtle we can get with our practice. So I often talk you through the musculoskeletal system first, right? We check in, is there muscular tension? Can we release it? Is there a place where our bones can line up a little, with a little more ease, that kind of thing. But, again, if you want to advance your practice, what's happening mentally? What's happening emotionally? Where is your energy level at, right? Really tuning in. Maybe you can sense your breath and your heartbeat. Remembering that you don't have to control the breath. There are times we do when we do breath practice, but right now just letting the breath take its natural rhythm and noticing what the natural rhythm is. That'll tell you an awful lot about your body and particularly about your central nervous system. And if your breath is moving fast, all in the chest, really shallow or sharp, in order to move more towards that parasympathetic, the rest and digest, maybe you let that belly be so soft that the belly rises and falls on the breath. Maybe you slow that breath down just a little bit without straining. Maybe you find pauses naturally come in after the inhale or after the exhale. And hopefully not feeling any force or strain with anything to do with the breath. Okay, so for the first move, we're going to start with our legs extended. So if you had them like I did in constructive rest, we're going to walk our feet in, let the right knee fall out to the right and lengthen the leg, left knee out to the left and lengthen the leg. And then from there, we're all in full extension. Our upper bodies are still hopefully Shavasana style, and all I mean by that, right, is we're really relaxed. We have our arms about 45, so all of the joints, all of the nerves, all of the blood vessels and veins hopefully are quite open and receptive. So from there, we're going to work with the lower body first. We're going to do that half bound angle. We slide the right heel up, probably no higher than your left knee. Again, don't go really high or you engage a bunch of muscles. Push that heel down, and we're trying not to engage many muscles with the work today. Go ahead and slide that right heel up. So let it be really soft. Don't go to your edges. Don't try to push into anything, right, or get the biggest stretch. Again, those are all heat-producing things. They're not bad. We need those at certain times. If I have that couch potato energy, you bet your life I'm going to want to try to move my body, right, and be a little bit more assertive with it. But not today. And the next time you have the leg up there, you're just going to pause and let the right leg get heavy. If the left hip lifts a little bit, it's okay. We're not trying to secure or neutralize, right, stabilize the pelvis. We're letting the pelvis just kind of get gentle movements with the movement of the leg. And now that the leg is still, right, just notice what's happening in that juncture where the femur bone meets the pelvis on the right side. Notice the left hip and notice the low back, just that general region, anything happening in there. And again, that's the advancing of the practice, right, being able to notice and articulate. Go ahead and slide that right heel forward and just pause for a moment. Notice if your right body, lower body particularly, feels any different than your left. And then we'll do the same, pardon me, sequence on the left side. So let that left heel slide up a little bit, not too far, and then let it slide down. You can match it to your breath. One of the reasons I like matching movement to my breath is because if I'm actually working with a really doesn't have to be super slow, but 4 or 5 second count on my breath, then my movement slows down as well a little bit, which in this work today I think is beneficial. And then the next time that you slide that left heel up, pause and just let that left leg have weight. And again, don't worry about, my left heel can come up to my pubic bone. I'm a fairly flexible girl, but it's right about at the level of my right knee, right? I'm not forcing or pushing or striving into that today. I'm just letting it be nice and relaxed. All my muscles can soften here. I'm noticing where my femur bone and my pelvis come together, that left hip joint, everything around it. Pardon me, my right hip, my low back and sacrum. And then slide that left heel forward. Now we're going to get the knees, feet on the ground with the knees up, but we're going to do it through that motion. So let the right heel slide back and then let the knee move up to the sky. Slide the left heel back, let the knee move up to the sky. Let the right leg fall out, slide the right heel forward. Let the left knee slide out, slide the left heel forward, yeah? So let's reverse it. Left heel first, and we'll bring that foot to the ground, knee up, and then we'll do the right leg. Just let that pelvis just kind of gently move with every motion. Left leg will fall gently out, or soften down, I guess might be a better way to say that. Right leg will soften out. I don't know that it falls. That sounds kind of harsh this morning. Let's do 2 more full cycles of that, right? So the right knee will lead this one. Nice and slow, with as minimal effort as you can for today, right? Letting the motion happen, but not being really strong, not as much muscular engagement at this moment in time. And when you're ready, when you're there, the left knee will lead the last one of this series. But you're going to leave your feet on the ground with the knees bent this time. So once your feet get on the ground, pause there. Walk your feet out as wide as your mat. Tee your arms out so they can just slide up a little bit. And then you're going to go into windshield wiper.
right? Every time you exhale, the knees go right or left. And every time you inhale, let the knees come up to center. And after those legs start to kind of feel their rhythm and you know what's going on in the lower body, if you want to turn the head the opposite direction of the knees, right? And just play with that motion in your body. Sorry, I'm pausing to move my mic pack. You can keep the head still today. You don't have to turn the head. And then we're going to add that knee swing that I love so much. So as your knees move to the right, it's the left knee, the top knee, that'll swing and kind of follow the trajectory towards the right armpit. And then it comes to the width of the left mat. And over on the other side, it would be the right knee, the top knee that swings up towards the left armpit. And I'm demonstrating if that doesn't make sense, but once you got it down, you don't need to see me, right? You could even close your eyes if that helps you turn inward and notice your body a little bit more, what's happening in there. The next time you're over to the right, let's stay over there, bringing the left knee up, putting that right hand under the left knee, my elbow's on the ground. That way I'm bearing the weight of the leg with my right hand, and I'm going to straighten my left leg. I can have that further away from me. I don't have to straighten it all the way. I can move the foot up. Don't do that and push, right? My pittas, be very cautious and careful. And then as I lengthen that leg, I'm going to imagine a Crystal Joy Johnson taking that left hip/thigh and gently pulling it down to the right front corner, the foot side of my mat. Take a breath there and just notice what you notice in your body. And then let's bring that left foot, bend the knee, bring the foot back down, and when we go over to the left, it would be the right leg that comes up. Again, I'm going to support that with my left hand. My left elbow is on the ground, so I'm stacking bones so it's less muscular. I'm flexing that right foot. I'm pushing that leg away a little or a lot or whatever feels right for me. I can move how close the leg is to the body. Finding a place where I feel a little bit of a stretch, but I'm not pushing into my edges and my maximum today. Think of me gently pulling, with your permission only, of course, that right hip and thigh down towards the left corner of your mat. And breathe, please. Bend that knee. Put that foot back down. Bring the knees up. Let the feet be wide. Lean the knees in. Slide the arms down to a 45. Move anything you gotta to get situated, and then pause and take about 3 soft belly breaths here and just notice your body thus far. Okay, so this next one, we're going to try and see if we can't involve the spine still, but also a little bit of the upper back. So you're going to roll to one side of your body, right? I'm going to start facing you so you can see a little better what I'm doing. So you don't have to, I'm going to try not to call out right and left. I get habitual with that, right? So the top arm is just going to rainbow arc over, right? And you'll end up turning and looking back towards the arm you just rainbow arced over. And then you're going to let your knees come up through center, and they're going to come over to the same side of where your top arm just went. And then that bottom arm, what was the bottom arm, will just come all the way up through center and come over, and the palms come together again. So my new top arm starts to rainbow arc over my head. I move myself into that twist. And then on the exhale, I bring the knees up. They go all the way over to the other side, as does what was my bottom arm. And that's the sequence. So go ahead, I am demonstrating if that doesn't make sense for any reason. Otherwise, you're going to go back and forth between your sides. So the inhale brings the arm over and twists the body. The exhale brings the knees over and that arm that was left behind. Add breath. Take your time. You're not in a rush. And let's do one more on each side. You'll know you're done when you go back to the side that you're relying on where we started. That will finish us today. Well, for this sequence anyway. I love this one, by the way. Oh, all of this stuff that we're doing. I just love it. And then go ahead and you're going to come on to, actually, sorry, no, I wanted to add one thing. So now that we're here, you're going to go ahead and you're going to straighten both of your legs as much as you can. And this might be where you would want the strap. I can't grab mine, right? And I could strap my feet here. And I want you to think about it being like a forward fold. We do this all the time in Paschimottanasana. We're just doing it on our side, working with gravity in a different way. Some of my friends, if you can bring the legs up and you can get your arms or your hands around your legs, your shins, your ankles, your toes, you're welcome to take that. I'm a pitta. I don't need extra heat. I'm coming to my shins, even though I could technically grab my feet. And I'm going to soften my chin into my chest. Let my head rest on that bottom shoulder. If you need support, put a blanket or a block under there. I'm flexing my feet and pushing my heels away and breathing. And then go ahead and bend the knees. And we're going to use that technique to get over to the other side one more time, right? That arm rainbow arc over. And once you get over to the other side, you'll start to straighten the legs, and they can just stay there. You don't have to strap them or grab them. You might strap them. You might bring them a little closer and put your hands on your shins or whatever you got a hold of. Flex your feet. You know, and when we're wanting to work with a more assertive practice, you know, I always say 65 to 70, but right now I'd say like 45, maybe 50. So pull back a little bit on the work that you're doing here. Let the chin tuck in the chest if it's okay. Support the neck if you need to. Breathe, please. And then bend the knees. And you're going to rainbow arc over to get your back onto the ground, and then bring the knees up to center. Leave them there. Bring your hands up onto your knees or shins or whatever, and maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Go ahead and grab your kneecaps and circle your knees together. Let the arms do more of that work than the legs. So the legs are in receptive mode right now. They're receiving this. Go ahead and go the other way. And then let your knees separate and go forward together again. So they're still circling. They're just circling in opposite directions. And go the other way. And then put your feet down on the ground, feet wide, lean the knees in, arms at 45. One more time before we come out of this sequence. Go ahead and just notice your body. Take a few breaths and notice if anything has changed. And then we're going to roll over onto our bellies. So you can just roll over onto your side. Try to give yourself the challenge of doing as little work as possible and using as minimum muscles as necessary, like maybe even leaving your head on the ground, right? And just kind of, I don't know, hopefully that makes sense what I mean by that. Just a different way to work, that's all. And then here we are in a belly. Take a couple of moments to negotiate the floor in this new position, right? Let your feet be a little wider than your hips. And then go ahead and cross your forearms. If it's too intense to bring the arms in that close, elbows wider, stack your hands. But if your forearms can stack, and you can bring your head onto your forearms for crocodile for just about 2 breaths. Notice that the belly doesn't really have anywhere to go, so as it hits the floor, you start to expand the side ribs and the low back, and maybe even the sacrum a little bit. Anytime my low back is sensitive and sore, when I remember and if I actually do this, this is one of my favorite practices for low back sensitivity. Just this. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Okay. Now you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring your forehead down to the ground. Bring your hands back. Put your hands on your sacrum with your palms facing the sky. Your feet are going to come into hip distance, and then go ahead and push down through the tops of the feet. So really engaging like we do for locust pose and for cobra pose, right? And with an inhale, you're going to swing that right arm forward, and you're going to almost salute. So the head and the chest lift a little bit, right? And then when I bring that right arm back, I'm going to turn my head to the left, bring my hand back to position, and soften down for just a second, right? I push my feet down, my thighs lift, my tailbone down. I let that left arm come forward, and I give a salute. And then I bring that left arm back as my head turns to the right. I get to soften my body for a moment. And inhale, coming up right arm. And I know my voice is probably a little muffled with this practice. I apologize for that. If you're losing anything, I am demonstrating if you need to see it. Now, we're using left arm right now. We'll turn our head to the right. This time, if you want just a little more work, right, you're going to lift the left leg as you bring the right arm forward. So the left leg might lift as the right arm comes forward. If that's too much or feels sensitive in your low back, don't even bother with it, right? And so as my left arm comes forward, my right leg is going to lift. So it's the same sequence. We're just adding a lifting of the opposite leg. Let's do one more full round of that. Right arm, left leg. Get longer, don't get higher. Left arm, right leg. Now, let your head face the floor. That was a weird sentence. Push the feet down, thighs, lift tailbone down, and then reach the knuckles back to lift the upper body. So the upper body of locust pose. If you want to lift the legs, you can lift the legs and get as long as you possibly can. Again, don't push to edges. Don't try to find the deepest post you've ever done today. Pull back and make that more of a 50% kind of situation, right? And then when we come down, we're going to let those arms come forward, other forearm on top or other palm, depending on your variation. And bring your awareness, again, to the belly area, the low back area, and the breath, and what happens down there. If we keep it so soft in that area, and we breathe in, just notice what happens in your side waist, your low back. So the belly expands, but it doesn't have anywhere to go, so it starts to expand the side waist, the low back. Even think of it going down into the sacrum if you can, the pelvis. And then when you exhale, there's a release and a softening of all of it. Let's take about 2 more breaths and let that be a practice, right? Bringing the awareness fully in. Again, you want an advanced practice? These are the things that advance us. We get more and more intimate with our body, more knowledgeable about it. We start to understand its language and what it's telling us. Bring your hands next to your ribs. Push yourself up, tone that belly up, of course. Come forward if you need to, but we're going to do just a couple of small cat-cows. So don't go into the full cow especially, right? And then just when you round the back, let that just be a nice little opening from the work. It's a counter pose for what we just did. So very small cow, only maybe about 40% of what you would really regularly do. And then let the spine round. And then let the knees go wide. Come on back to a child's pose. Feel free to let the elbows go wide and support the head with, blocks, palms, fists, you name it. Arms could be out in front of you. Hands, making a diamond above your crown. On the ground, though, you're not bearing that weight. Soften yourself as much as you can. And if you would like to lay on your back for a few minutes in Shavasana, you can. If you're on a time commitment, push the floor away. Come on up. You can stay on the knees, bringing the knees in. You could go to cross-legged. We won't be here for long, right? But again, I do encourage you, if you can lay down and you've got the time to chill out, literally chill, cool, right, out in Shavasana, take a couple of minutes there. Bring those palms together in front of the heart. Inhale. Exhale, bowing the head in, taking a moment of gratitude. May you be well. May you stay cool. Namaste. Take care of yourselves, friends.